there are writer-directors like, Billy Wilder or Ang Lee who aren't born here, but who find some part of Americana to show us that we don't know ourselves. How did you find this part of the American story, and how did you find Brady?
I grew up in Beijing, and I always look at Inner Mongolia, the plains, as somewhere that means something very different than the life I know. And I think being in New York for a long time and wanting to go west, to find a different way of life and to get to know myself better, I ended up on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota, and I made a movie there. After the first film is finished, I went out to visit, and I met Brady on a cattle ranch on Pine Ridge. And that's how it started.
And so did the story start with Brady, because this was before his accident?
Yeah, it started with I saw him training horses in the corral. I've just never seen anything like that. He was playing different roles to this wild young horse. He was the father, the mother, the friend, the dance partner to this horse, and he gets this young horse to trust him and to communicate with him. I thought that kind of presence that he has, that he might do well in front of a camera. So.
Brady, how did Chloe sell you on the idea of being in a movie?
We talked about it several different times. She told me she was a director, and she talked about possibly casting me. And I kind of chuckled about it at first because I never had any experience doing anything like this. So she came back a few times that summer, and she actually learned how to ride horses and move cows and everything. And I figured if she's not scared to get on a 1,200-pound horse, then why should I be scared of a camera?
The crew was small. What was you had a 6-person crew, right?
Yeah, including me.
Including you. Okay. So how do you not be intrusive on a story that's really so intimate, that's for all the vastness of the plains which you brought out, it's also a very intimate story?
Yeah, I think some of that came out of the fact that me and Brady and Chloe, I shot Chloe's first film, Songs My Brothers Taught Me. So by the time it came to the ride, I felt we were just making a film with our friends, really. So I already felt like I had your trust, Brady, but I mean also the intimacy between the camera and the horses was achieved through Brady. The camera would come into the corral, they'd smell the camera, and we'd get them used to me, the boom pole, and so we were right up inside it.
And so for you to decide how to structure this, was this almost, because it is kind of documentary, it is Brady's story, did you script it very tightly, or given that this is his family, this is a place he knows, was there a sense of you trusted an improv sense in what he was going to bring out and what his family would do?
The script is 65 pages long, and there are part of the script just says Brady train horses, which is 7 minutes on screen, or Brady and Lily, moments like that. But the scripted part where there's dialogue, just like any other script, is heavily inspired by Brady's real life and all the little things that Brady said to me in the year and a half I've known him since we shot the film.
And to decide to cast the whole family for this, was that from the beginning, or did you think about having other actors, other people do this, but then realize the best story is his story with his?
Before he got
life.
injured, we tried different things. I was going to maybe bring someone from my first film. I wasn't sure. But after he was injured, it's very natural to see that the people's lives who are mostly impacted by his injury are those who are closest to him.
Brady, when your family was approached with the idea of being in the film with you, what did they say?
My dad chuckled about it kind of like I did, It would take about 10 or 12 takes, but he always nailed it at the end. Lily, she videotaped everything and played it back, memorized lines, and recorded audio. She loves cameras, so she was always on board with it too.
Because it seems so spontaneous with Lily.
Yeah, and Layne Scott, he was actually, the year after he was injured, he was actually going to be on a bull riding reality show, so came natural to him as well.
So he was all ready for that. So you guys were pros before anybody had even approached you about this. So, and now that they've seen it, what do they think, your dad and Lily and Layne?
everybody's pretty impressed with how it came together. None of us had ever acted before, so we didn't really know how the whole editing process and everything worked. So we were pretty impressed.
Did things take unexpected turns for you? That the movie that you envisioned is not what we saw on the screen, and how different is it?
It's pretty close to the script, and that, to me, I learned from my first movie, which I shot with the treatment, especially with all these exciting things that's happening around you. It's really difficult not to get sidetracked. So have a script that makes sense is really important. The more you work in this ecosystem that you allow things happen, the more you need a script to go back to.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. You have to know the rules to break the rules, kind of thing.
Right. So, what were the challenges for you? Were there physical challenges, or was it about catching the light, as you say, as you had foreseen a moment and it eluded you, perhaps?
Yeah, I think our challenge, I mean, there's certainly physical challenges with the 5-person crew. And, Chloe was very smart about almost casting the crew. It's 5 people, but that's the right 5 people.
Huh.
And they're not going to be there. It's not a normal film set. They're there for a human experience. So if you need to carry lens cases, and you're the producer or the grip, carry the lens case, because we're all doing this together. So there are limitations to that, to answer your question. But I feel Chloe was so smart in scheduling this film that we never really felt rushed, or we never really felt overly worked. It was a lot of sitting around waiting for the light to be just right.
Well, thank you for a wonderful film, and I think the audience would like to say the same.
Thank you very much.